Tony D and Little Joan with a bonus video. Bonus. Um, the Matt Walsh versus the Quartering feud has erupted all over the interwebs, and I thought I'd weigh in. People are weighing in all over. I it's one of those things. Let's see. Do I have some of the tweets here? They're further down. It's one of those things. People start weighing in, and nobody really wins except the Quartering and Matt Walsh, because I guess they get more hits. Um, I'm not big on this drama. I mean, I get it if you're attacked or you feel that you've been attacked, you feel like you got to defend yourself. I think Jeremy's a little sensitive. He defends himself a little too much sometimes. But I get what he's saying. Like, Matt Walsh is slamming comic books and anime, and here's the problem. As a guy who worked in the comic book industry most of his life, we have an issue in comic books with stunted adolescents. It's true. Anyone who's worked in the industry knows the kind of fans I'm talking about. They, they're stunted adolescents. And some of them are very nice. I don't have a problem with them. That's what they can do or want to do. I mean, some of them I feel bad for. They seem kind of dysfunctional, but most of them aren't. Most of them are they're just collectors, and that's the way they are. They keep to themselves, and they love their hobby, and it's fine. But that all being said, don't confuse the medium with the fans. If I had, because there are plenty of fans, and this goes back to a moment on the Howard Stern show of genuine truth back in the 90s, where Howard and Robin were talking about their fans. And Robin said something like, I can't imagine calling a radio station. I can't imagine wanting to call a radio station and yell at someone or give my opinion or whatever. And Howard was like, yeah. And most people agreed that most of the fan base for the Howard Stern show at their peak, they would never call a radio station under any circumstances. They wouldn't call to say, I love you, Howard, and they wouldn't call to say, I hate you, Howard. They are real people who just listen to the show and go about their business. I was one of those people. I didn't call in. I don't think I did. Nah. Unless I had, I don't know, something I thought I could promote or get in there if there was some sort of contest, but nah. Generally speaking, normal people don't do that. And normal people aren't obsessive comic book collectors. Normal people aren't obsessive in video games. Part of the problem, I think, is Matt Walsh he's pretty corporate. The Daily Wire is a very corporate entity, and that's part of, I think, their lack of appeal. I think part of their appeal is they're very organized. They're very well funded. They seem to have their act together financially. If you're going to end up in a lawsuit against the Daily Wire, God help you. But the downside of that is they're a little more disconnected from their fan base. And I don't think Matt Walsh is a phony like a lot of people on network TV, but I don't think he's as sincere as someone like Jeremy or someone, your average YouTuber. Certainly like a guy like Sticks and Hammer, who's pretty open about his views. I mean, Jeremy's pretty open about his views, I think. Seems to be. But he does seem to get himself in problems. But whether or not he's kind of doing it on purpose, or he's kind of allowing some of those problems to happen so he can get a little drama going every once in a while to bump up his numbers, I don't know. I wouldn't put it past him to do it once in a while, but I also understand he probably is a little annoyed that Matt Walsh would kind of come out like that. I would just ignore Matt Walsh, because who cares what he thinks? At the end of the day, who cares? If he, sure, he's got some based opinions on stuff, but when it comes to comics and anime, he's not a comic and anime guy. Strikes me as a guy, if you were at a barbecue with him, he'd be talking about sports or work or his kids or whatever. The same boring crap that most people talk about. Now, as a guy who never talks about that stuff, I'm on the other end of the spectrum. I'm with the weirdos who talk about comics and games and cartoons and whatever. Now, Matt says, "Oh, what kind of adult watches cartoons?" I mean, I get why he's saying that. I don't agree with it, but I totally understand, because there are people with their stunted adolescents who are watching cartoons and playing games and buying Funko, and they just haven't grown up. I like to think I appreciate that stuff and that medium on its own, for its art, for its creativity, for its comedy. Matt, he's just not tuned into that world. And it's hard. Look, most of the stuff is crap, just like any medium, Matt. Just like most sports games are BS. Not really pitting true athletes against other true athletes. Most comic books, anime, TV shows, cartoons, they're all crap. But there's a select amount that are great, that are really something to behold. And if you work in the medium like I do, well, you appreciate that. And you can see them. But a lot of people can't. So most of our fans, they don't necessarily have the sophisticated palate to find the good stuff. Not all the time. And I don't hold them against them. Some of them are young, haven't really read a lot, haven't gotten to that point where they're like, oh, this is good or this is bad. Some of them are, well, they just don't have the same taste. And some would look at the stuff I like and say, I don't have any taste. But art is subjective. But I think Jeremy has a very valid point when it comes to the Republicans and culture. And what he points out in his videos is that, the Christian right, the Jesus freaks who bothered us in the 80s. You forget about the satanic panic, Matt. They went after Magic the Gathering over a stupid pentagram and a couple of other things. Sure, now the woke tards are going after him for other stuff, but the right went after him too. And that's a real problem. Censorship is a real problem. You can't have it both ways. Yeah, sure, I agree. Pornography has no place in a child's library, but I also wouldn't want to censor, say, like the comic book Mouse, just because there's a couple of scenes in it that have mouse nudity in it. I think it's a good book to explain to not young children, but older children about that bad time in Germany, I'll say, because of YouTube censors. So I think there's validity in a lot of different mediums, but most of it's crap. Most of it's crap. And this argument, I don't know. I don't think you're going to win this one. I definitely think Matt Walsh isn't going to win it, because he has disturbed Razor Fist. And Razor Fist, he brings the receipts, man. He immediately went after, well, he didn't go after him, but he responded to some fan of his, and he don't give an F. He made a pretty cogent argument about why Matt Walsh is a neocon, supported Romney, hated Trump, and he did. And now they reluctantly got on the Trump train, but now they're again probably off of it, hoping he doesn't get the nomination. But again, it's the Daily Wire. They're a big corporation. They're doing things the corporate way. They're just smaller, so they can't act like Fox News yet. But if they had Fox's exposure and money, they'd be exactly like Fox News, I think. Would Jeremy? No, I don't think so. Or Razor Fist, they wouldn't act that way. So, if I had to take a side in this, I certainly wouldn't take the Daily Wire side. Anyone coming out of the Daily Wire, was always a little sus to me because they're always kind of neocon. Ben Shapiro, he's got some base views, but he also is, when it comes to foreign policy, no thank you. No thank you, Ben. I'd rather not bomb the Middle East back to the Stone Age. Thank you. I think he's kind of heading down that path with his views. So, but I'd also say to Jeremy, like, this isn't worth it. This drama isn't worth it. It's tiresome. And guys weighing in on either side, it's like, really? Don't we have enough problems without you guys fighting amongst each other? I don't think it's really worth it. But, Bounding in the Comics points out that, yeah, Jeremy gets into fights all the time. Which leads me to believe that maybe some of them are in the back of his mind, he's saying, maybe I'll let this one become E-drama. Because keep in mind, he is pretty high profile too, so I can't imagine a day goes by when he doesn't get a nasty email from somebody. I mean, I'm not at that point, thank God, but I just don't think I would engage with any of these people, really. Most of them, if you're bothering to call the radio station, you're probably really having not much of a life. So someone doing it, I mean, I've had a few comments, I just go, what is wrong with this person? And usually they run out of gas. A couple of them haven't, and I had to ban them from my channel just so I didn't want to see their annoying comments. Why should I? They're not being nice. I'm not obligated to talk to them. It's not costing any money to ban them from my channel, and they're probably not subscribers. And even if they are, the only thing they're going to do is keep showing up and voting down my videos. So F them. It's not a democracy. I'm not the government. I can censor you. On my channel anyway. Anyhow, so I guess to conclude my rambling summary, let's not fight, fellas. Let's not get trapped in the E-drama. There's enough problems in the world. And Jeremy's not really a conservative, as he says. He's more of a centrist. Matt is what I would call a corporate conservative. Yeah, he's conservative. That's his brand. I'm sure that's mostly his home life, but who knows? Who knows? There's always a problem with seemingly guys who get big, and a big brand based on conservatism and traditional values and all that kind of stuff, because the moment they have any problems, well, then they look like hypocrites, don't they? So, anyhow, that's it for me, Tony D and Little Joan. Check us out on Odysee, Bitchute, and Rumble for our more base takes. Sometimes we have very base takes. And we'll see you in the next one.